Phil Robertson, Duck Dynasty patriarch, dies at 79. Cause of death and last words revealed. May 26, 2025, West Monroe, Louisiana. Phil Robertson, the founder of Duck Commander and patriarch of the Robertson family, featured in the hit reality series Duck Dynasty, has died at the age of 79. The beloved outdoorsman and television personality passed away on May 26, 2025, following complications from a severe stroke, according to a statement released by the Robertson family. His last words, as confirmed by his son Willie Robertson, were poignant and faithful. "I'm ready to go home. Y'all keep the faith." The Robertson family has requested privacy as they grieve, but they also expressed gratitude for the outpouring of love from fans and supporters across the country. A public memorial is being planned in West Monroe, Louisiana, where Phil lived out his final days surrounded by his large, close-knit family. A life built in the bayou. Born April 24, 1946, in Vivian, Louisiana, Phil Alexander Robertson was the fifth of 7 children in a humble, rural household. His family lived off the land, and from an early age, Phil was immersed in hunting, fishing, and faith. The son of a hard-working father and deeply religious mother, Robertson developed an appreciation for nature and biblical values that would later become central to his personal philosophy. He attended Louisiana Tech University on a football scholarship and played quarterback, even briefly preceding future NFL Hall of Famer Terry Bradshaw. But Phil famously turned down a potential NFL career, citing his love for hunting and aversion to what he called the glamorous life. "I had to make a decision between chasing fame or following the ducks," Phil once said in an interview. "I chose the ducks, and I never regretted it." That decision would define the rest of his life. Duck Commander and a family brand. In the 1970s, Robertson invented the Duck Commander duck call, a unique design that mimicked the sound of real ducks more accurately than any competitor. He founded the company Duck Commander in 1973, and over time, with the help of his wife, Marcia K. Miss K. Robertson, and their sons, the business grew from a garage operation into a multi-million-dollar empire. Phil's eldest son, Willie Robertson, took over the business as CEO in the 2000s and helped usher in a new era of visibility for the family. Duck Commander products became must-haves for hunters nationwide, and the brand stood for not only outdoor gear, but also for Christian values, Southern traditions, and conservative American life. The family's popularity culminated in the launch of Duck Dynasty, a reality TV series on A&E that premiered in 2012 and ran for 11 seasons, drawing millions of viewers each week. Duck Dynasty and national fame. Duck Dynasty offered a window into the Robertson family's daily life, running Duck Commander, hunting, fishing, cooking, and gathering around the dinner table to pray and share lessons rooted in faith. Phil, with his long beard, camo attire, and unapologetically Christian worldview, was the cornerstone of the show's authenticity and success. At its peak, Duck Dynasty became one of the most watched nonfiction series in cable television history, attracting an audience that ranged from rural hunters to curious city dwellers. The show celebrated family, hard work, and scripture, values often considered missing from mainstream media. But Phil's straightforward and sometimes controversial remarks in interviews, particularly those referencing religion, sin, and social issues, sparked backlash at times. Still, his unapologetic stance drew even stronger support from conservative Americans who viewed him as a fearless voice for faith and freedom of speech. Phil Robertson was many things to many people, wrote political commentator Ben Shapiro in tribute. But to his core, he was a man who stood firm in his beliefs and never wavered. Faith, family, and final days. In his later years, Phil stepped back from television and business to focus more deeply on his ministry. He frequently spoke at churches and events across the country, sharing his testimony of transformation from a troubled young man to a born-again Christian. Phil openly discussed his struggles with alcohol and infidelity during the early years of his marriage, describing how a personal encounter with Jesus Christ saved his life and marriage. That testimony became the foundation of his preaching and writing. He authored several books, including Happy, 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 The Theft of America's Soul, and Uncanceled, each blending personal stories with Christian apologetics. Even after suffering a stroke in early May 2025, Phil remained alert and prayerful. According to the family, he spent his final days surrounded by Kay, his sons, Willie, Jace, Jep, and Alan, and dozens of grandchildren and great-grandchildren. The family sang hymns, read scripture, and shared stories of faith and joy. His last words, spoken softly as the sun rose over the Louisiana bayou, were, "I'm ready to go home. Y'all keep the faith." The news of Phil Robertson's passing prompted an immediate outpouring of condolences from fans, faith leaders, politicians, and celebrities. Franklin Graham, president of Samaritan's Purse, wrote, "Phil Robertson loved God, loved his family, and lived what he preached. A man of integrity, grit, and faith. He's home now." Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry ordered flags flown at half-staff across the state in Robertson's honor and praised him as a cultural icon who never forgot where he came from. Even former President Donald Trump shared a message on Truth Social. Phil was a true American patriot who loved God, country, and family, a legend who will be missed. A lasting legacy. Phil Robertson leaves behind more than a successful business or a hit television show. He leaves behind a legacy of faith-based entrepreneurship, bold Christian evangelism, and unfiltered authenticity. Through Duck Commander, he taught his family how to build something from scratch. Through Duck Dynasty, he taught America to embrace its roots. And through his preaching, he inspired millions to seek God. His life wasn't perfect, and he never claimed it was. But his message was clear. Redemption is possible, truth is worth defending, and families, no matter how flawed, can stand firm with faith at their center. Robertson is survived by his wife, Kay, his 4 sons, numerous grandchildren, and great-grandchildren, as well as a newly discovered daughter, Phyllis, who was welcomed into the family after Phil learned of her existence later in life. The family has announced the establishment of the Phil Robertson Legacy Fund, which will support faith-based ministries, prison outreach programs, and scholarships for young outdoorsmen and women in Louisiana. Funeral arrangements and public memorial. A private funeral service will be held later this week for close family and friends at White's Ferry Road Church in West Monroe, where the Robertsons have long worshipped. A public memorial service is being organized for fans, neighbors, and supporters, with details to be shared on the Duck Commander website and social media platforms. In lieu of flowers, the family requests donations to local ministries or the newly created Legacy Fund in Phil's name. "My dad loved the Lord, and he lived every day like it was his last," said Willie Robertson in a tearful video posted Monday evening. "He always told us, be ready. And now he's exactly where he's always wanted to be, home." Conclusion. Phil Robertson's death marks the end of an era for reality television, American entrepreneurship, and evangelical media. His beard, his Bible, and his boldness made him unforgettable. But more than anything, he will be remembered as a man who walked away from worldly opportunity in pursuit of a higher calling. In doing so, he touched lives far beyond the bayou, and his voice, gravelly, direct, and full of conviction, will echo for years to come. As he said in his final breath, "I'm ready to go home. Y'all keep the faith."